But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
Hey, my name's Kona, and I'm a little bit of a space fan. And by a little bit, I mean that I've been known to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch rocket launches. I'm also an unmanned aircraft pilot, but that part comes later. Right now, we're on the verge of a huge revolution in the spaceflight industry. But in order to understand it, we're going to need to take a step back and examine how we got here. At the dawn of the space race, President Kennedy laid out the challenge that would define America for the next decade. But the momentum wouldn't last. After the first moon landing, interest began to dwindle, and it was just 2 years after mankind's giant leap that we saw the demise of the Apollo program. Since 1972, humans have not gone beyond low Earth orbit. The Space Transportation System, better known as the Space Shuttle, took over as America's flagship space operation with its maiden flight in 1981. But we soon discovered that shuttle was an outrageously expensive endeavor. The partially reusable system was supposed to bring costs down, maybe as low as $20 million per flight, but instead it was outrageously costly. The whole program cost $209 billion, yielding an average cost per flight of over $1.5 billion. Michael Griffin, NASA administrator from 2005 to 2009, even admitted that it's now commonly accepted that wasn't the right path. The shuttle wasn't even capable of flight outside of Earth orbit, placing a huge limitation on our capabilities. After 30 years of service and 135 missions, the final flight of the Space Shuttle program was carried out by the orbiter Atlantis on July 8, 2011.
Up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff, the final liftoff of Atlantis. On the shoulders of the Space Shuttle, America will continue the dream.
Now, approaching 5 years since its retirement, America still has no way to send astronauts to space on our own. Instead, we pay an ever-rising $80 million per astronaut to Russia. Russia, one of America's biggest enemies. These issues may feel distant or even unimportant, but they aren't. Let's forget for a minute the fact that this is your tax dollars at work, or that the International Space Station is used to develop otherwise impossible vaccines, or its role in disaster recovery and farming, or the benefits of international cooperation, or understanding the universe, or the human nature of space exploration, learning, scientific development. No, let's set all that aside for a moment. Right now, all around us, the space industry is on the verge of a boom. NASA has their eyes set on Mars, developing a crew vessel called Orion to be launched on a massive rocket called the Space Launch System. Their goal is to put humans on Mars in the 2030s, but first visiting an asteroid several years before. But concurrently, we've seen a dramatic rise in commercial space companies, a phenomenon called New Space, many of which are based right here in Seattle. Planetary Resources, headquartered in Redmond, aspires to mine asteroids and other bodies. Right across the street are the Redmond offices of SpaceX, the most well-known new space company. They strive to put humans on Mars by 2025, the first steps of which are lowering the cost of access to space. Their Falcon 9 rocket costs a mere $60 million to launch, a figure they hope to soon slash as low as $30 million by retrieving and reusing the booster stage, compared to upwards of $400 million for other US rockets. When rockets are launched, the first stage usually just falls into the ocean, never to be used again. If SpaceX can retrieve that stage and fly it on future missions, launch costs will fall way down. On December 21st, 2015, SpaceX became the first organization ever to land the stage. The only remaining step is to demonstrate its readiness to fly again. Just a few weeks before SpaceX's historic landing, a Kent-based company led by Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos also made a huge leap forward. Blue Origin aims to enable space tourism, beginning with short, straight-up, straight-down suborbital flights. They made headlines when they successfully performed a test of their vehicle's landing ability, but it's worth noting that the suborbital and small nature of the stage makes its recovery orders of magnitude easier than Falcon 9, an orbital-class vehicle that puts satellites and other payloads into space. It's these new space companies that are the driving force behind huge changes coming just outside our atmosphere, and it's happening all across America but centered in Seattle. Those are just a handful of the companies based here. They've grown so great in numbers, we even have a Washington State Space Coalition. But this is not to discount the old space companies. United Launch Alliance was formed in 2006 with the merger of Boeing's and Lockheed Martin's space divisions. The joint venture operates the Atlas V
Go Atlas.
and Delta IV
Go Delta.
rockets. Until May 2015, when Falcon 9 joined the club, these rockets were the only two certified to launch United States military payloads, hence the inspiration for ULA's tagline, America's Ride to Space. ULA is based in Denver, Colorado, but I was able to speak with one of their engineers while visiting the area.
Yeah, my name is Eric Monda. I'm an aerospace engineer at United Launch Alliance. I work in the advanced programs area, so I'm responsible for coming up with and evaluating new concepts and new ideas and determining what they can do to help our company and help further people in space.
Despite being an old space company, ULA is making huge advancements in the field. Their next rocket, called Vulcan, will replace the aging Atlas and Delta, who can trace their heritage as far back as the 50s. It will also feature some reusability, but not nearly as comprehensive as the SpaceX return to launch site.
Last year we started the project that became the Vulcan booster, so that'll be our new launch vehicle going forwards. We've also looked at concepts including our new ACES upper stage and other further afield items. Throughout the history of innovation, you see that an invention for a particular purpose doesn't always end there, and it'll have lots of ancillary benefits. For example, WD-40 being one, Velcro another, GPS another one. It was designed solely for the military, and now we find that those signals are ubiquitous. Obviously people are aware they're using it when they are using maps on their phone or in their car, but they might not always know that when they're doing banking transactions or something as simple as buying gas at a gas station, without the timely signal from GPS, none of those transactions go through.
Now, remember our dependence on Russia? The Atlas V will launch one of two upcoming American crew vehicles. SpaceX and Boeing are both developing crew capsules that will begin service in 2018. Boeing's capsule, dubbed the CST-100 Starliner, will hitch a ride to the ISS from the Atlas V. But Starliner can also trace some of its systems to the Pacific Northwest, at a company called Aerojet Rocketdyne, which manufactures engines for propulsion and attitude control. They have a handful of facilities in the United States, but the one responsible for the production of nearly all of America's in-space maneuvering engines is in Redmond, including those on the CST-100. They also developed the engines that landed the Curiosity rover on Mars as part of an apparatus called a sky crane. I went down there to speak with calculator watch-wearing Roger Myers, Executive Director of Advanced In-Space Systems, who oversaw the sky crane's development. I also got to see hardware and development that will be on board CST-100. For security reasons, I was not allowed to bring recording devices on site, but here is Mr. Myers speaking at a Washington STEM breakfast in 2013.
We're growing, and there's a lot of opportunity as part of that growth in STEM fields. I can tell you personally, right now, I've got a bunch of job openings that I can't fill. I'm having to hire nationally instead of locally. If you look at the historical growth, it's pretty respectable. What that means is that there are careers here, STEM careers, opportunities for kids. If you're a parent, maybe for your kid to support you in your old age. But there are real careers here, and we need to be getting more people engaged. And frankly, I want to be able to recruit from Washington State, and right now I can't. It's very hard. The point of this is we have a space industry in Washington State.
Both here and in our conversation, he talks about how crucial it is that the upcoming generation recognize how important the space industry is, and how huge the near future will be for spaceflight. Mr. Monda shared the same sentiment.
If they don't want to get in the field, I would tell them they should change their mind. If they want to get in the field, I tell them that they've made a good choice. You know, it's a very exciting career with lots of opportunities. It gives you a chance to work on some of the most difficult problems there are, and with a lot of visible results. I mean, when a rocket launches, people know it, and when something doesn't go right, people know that as well. So it's a very high-profile environment.
You don't even have to be an engineer to be involved. Space companies always need businessmen or marketing people, not to mention technicians or even IT.
But there are certainly lots of opportunities for people that are interested in business and finance.
Biologists are crucial in enabling colonization. Scientists are needed all over the place. Almost any STEM job and a whole lot of non-STEM jobs can help the space industry. If you are interested in the more STEM side of things, check out games like Kerbal Space Program. You can operate a new space agency, earning contracts to progress to orbital flights to explore the Kerbal system, or just fly for fun with more boosters. The game is a great way to get a feel for orbital mechanics, basic rocketry, aerodynamics, and more. Even Elon Musk is known to play, the founder, CTO, and CEO of SpaceX, who, I might add, taught himself everything he knows about rocketry and spaceflight. Space is the future, and with an abundance of jobs waiting for us, the only missing link is people like you and me to go out there and make it happen.
Hey, I'm Ryan, and I like airplanes, but that's pretty easy to figure out if you've talked to me for more than 2 seconds. This is my room. It's filled with plane memorabilia, sort of like a makeshift shrine to aviation. That yellow one there is a DC-932 for Northeastern Air, which is now defunct. It's a shame watching airlines die. That is my camera. I take lots of pictures, mostly of airplanes, and share them on my Instagram to 5,200 followers. Which is pretty cool, especially considering most of them are young, like me. Oh, and here are my logbooks. I also fly, and I'm about 2 or so hours away from getting my private pilot's license. In other words, I'm a full-blown av geek. This is Payne Field. I spend a lot of time here watching airplanes. At first glance, this airport looks just like every other, but it's unique. The aircraft producer Boeing calls this airport home for its heavy aircraft production. Planes like the 777, 767, 787, and the 747 are all built here. It's also a massive economic driver.
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that the airport's economic output contributes about $30 billion with a B annually.
Wait, stop. Okay. $30 billion. 30, not thousand, not million, billion, with a B. If Payne were a country, its GDP would rival countries like Greenland, Samoa, Aruba, the Maldives, and another 2/3 of the world. That is amazing. Just imagine what kind of profits airports with airline services make. Like SeaTac, JFK, LAX, you name one. That's a lot of money. And a lot in tax revenue. Yet, airports are closing left and right. Flying over the Northwest, there is evidence of many airports that once were. Blaine Municipal, Evergreen Field, and Vista Airport are just a handful of airports in my region that have closed in the past decade. And that's just Washington. Many have closed recently across the country. Some for economical reasons, which could be justifiable, but others because people didn't like the noise or traffic created by the airport. A prime example of people getting pissed over airport noise is the infamous John Wayne International Airport in Orange County, California. The locals have been so bothered by a measly decibel count that they've mandated curfews at the airport, meaning no airplanes can arrive and depart before or after a certain time. On the runway 20 right departure, aircraft are required to climb rapidly before essentially cutting the engines off and dropping out of the sky to glide over Newport Beach and its surrounding houses. If it sounds scary, just watch. Terrifying. I know. From an aviator's standpoint, it's safe, albeit sweat-inducing, but from a passenger's perspective, it's a very scary experience. Fortunately, John Wayne isn't going anywhere soon. In fact, airlines are pushing to get more leniency in departure and arrival times, as well as how many flights the airport can have daily. Unfortunately, other airports in the greater Los Angeles area have succumbed to noise complaints, amongst other problems, and have been converted to mini-malls and quaint suburban neighborhoods. Airports also die because of politicians. A very notable case of this is the 2003 mayor of Chicago, Richard Dick Daley, destroying a cute little airport by the name of Meigs Field. A beautiful example of general aviation's usefulness, this airport served Chicago well by transporting the visiting businessmen to basically downtown, saving them time and money when compared to landing at Chicago Executive or Chicago O'Hare. It was a home to aviation enthusiasts, corporate aircraft, and several airlines, all benefiting the local economy and helping create ease of travel to different destinations across the United States. Dick had different ideas. He felt a park better suited the needs of the city instead of a very well-functioning little airport. So, on the night of March 30th, 2003, he ordered city teams to bulldoze massive X's in the runway. A ridiculous move because most airports, when closing a runway, paint big yellow X's on the runway as well as have light up X's that denote the closure of that runway. Mayor Dick's strategy was unorthodox and borderline malicious to the aircraft owners whose planes were stranded there. Eventually, owners could depart from the adjacent taxiway, but the mayor ultimately got his way, blowing through laws and pissing off many aviation enthusiasts in the process. The once thriving Meigs Field is now a lakeside park and largely forgotten outside the realm of aviation. It's unfortunate that things like that happen, but there are ways to stop shutdowns like Meigs from happening in the future. The modern airport kind of looks more like a prison than somewhere where people go to travel. Tall barbed wires, security cameras, menacing signs, and in a lot of cases a small army of armed security guards and policemen. Sounds like the kind of place you'd find murderers at, not a gateway to the world. Take Payne, for example. Look at this fence, and this sign, and this guy, and this camera that follows you as you walk. It's an intimidating place to be, and not particularly inviting to those interested in aviation for the most part. Payne, though, is a great example of the direction airports should be going. The future of flight is a fantastic institution for aviation, and allows young and old alike to experience the beauty of aviation. It also gives them a chance to access unbeatable views of some of the largest aircraft in production, and gives them a chance to have their questions answered about aerospace.
I'm an educator at the Future of Flight, and that means that I design and run programs primarily for me out of the makerspace that we've built on the gallery floor. So teaching 3D modeling, 3D printing, the engineering design process, career skills, and some things that tie that all together.
Kyle and other educators do an amazing job fostering interest in aviation in young people and creating a warm and inviting environment for people who are looking to stick their foot in the door and get into aviation. We need more Future of Flights. More places where people can go to get educated in aviation. More places where aviation and all its amazing qualities can be showcased, like fly-ins and air shows. And most importantly, we need to get young people interested in the enthralling art that is aviation. 20,000 pilots will be needed by 2020. And that's just the US. Hundreds of thousands will be needed worldwide in the following years. It's a big issue. Without pilots, planes can't fly, and that causes needless cancellations of flights, which drives up prices and screws over the traveler and anyone who relies on anything moved by air. Just a few weeks ago, this shortage reached a point of cancellations, with Republic Airways and Shuttle America saying that they wouldn't be able to meet its schedules over the next year due to problems of staffing flights with pilots. This is an issue in the regional puddle hopper realm of commercial aviation, but if pilots don't fly in mass in the next couple of years, the problem will trickle down to the major carriers, hurting their income and screwing the consumer out of flexibility of flights and the convenience of low prices. In the next 20 years, the world will need more than 900,000 pilots. Where are they going to come from?
So you just have to make it aware that there's avenues. There's the Aviation High School in Seattle. I'm sure Boeing has certain, their flying club has things for kids, and you just have to make it more aware to them. Right. You know, I don't know if they ever advertised that in the school. In fact, when I went to high school, I didn't even know there was an Air Force Academy. I had no idea there was an Air Force Academy. I didn't even know that you could go to Academy and come out as an Air Force pilot. I learned about it when I was in college, but I remember they were playing football. I go, Air Force Academy, who are they? Right. I had no idea. Yeah. I mean, so there's, I mean, I went from really not knowing anything about aviation, so.
So finding components that match with what they're passionate about, things that they really respond to personally, and then trying to dovetail that with an existing career path. For example, if they are maybe more on the aesthetic side, maybe a little bit right-brained into the art side, they could find a job working with Boeing in maybe the cabins or the lighting department. The new beauty of airplanes like the 787 is pretty surprising. But just to say, find the thing you're most passionate about and see if you can connect it to aviation. Aviation has connections in every possible job.
And if you want to do it professionally, there's all sorts of predictions about pilot shortages coming up right now.
It's hard work, but it's easy to get started. And so if you're dedicated, you can do something like that, no problem, even right out of high school. But I would say that it's important to understand there's a lot of other things in aviation. For example, there's all the science work, there's the research, there's especially all the manufacturing work that goes on.
I think that perhaps the glory days of being an airline pilot may no longer be the glory days. I talked to a couple of my buddies who fly for American and have for their lives, and they have had great careers, but it has not been an easy road for them. And I would say that if you're really truly passionate about flight and you know that's what you want to do, then do it, and you know, work hard and study hard, and wow, follow that dream.
It is hard once you're flying. You gotta have mortgage, you know, family and holidays. The bug kind of dies off. But when you're taking off, when I'm taking off tomorrow, and I'm flying out and we're making the call-outs, I'm not thinking about anything in my life except for that. And that's the one thing about aviation. It completely will take all your other problems and stuff going on in the world, and you forget about them for that short time, so you get a little bit of a mental respite from it.
In the last few years, drone prices have plummeted. Their presence was limited to people passionate enough about the hobby to invest huge sums of money into large machines. It was a niche category of electronics. But as time went on, their aerial footage caught the imagination of the general public. Demand rose, electronics prices fell, and now you can buy the cheapest models for less than $50. I purchased this model online for less than $20. It's about the size of a quarter, self-levels, can do automated flips, and even return to its takeoff site at the touch of a button. Learning basic flight takes a matter of minutes. This technology is now more accessible than ever before. But as with all new technology, there's controversy. The smallest ones like this are of little concern, but as we go even just slightly bigger, they begin to cause more of a problem. This model is still small enough to fit in the palm of my hand, but there's one key difference. It's equipped with a camera. Before we explore this any further, let's get our terminology straight. A drone refers to any vehicle capable of flight, takeoff to landing, without human intervention. Autonomy is the distinction here. On the other hand, we have UAVs, or UASs, which stand for unmanned aerial vehicles or aircraft systems, respectively. These two are interchangeable with each other, but not with drone, because a drone must be autonomous, while a UAS is pilot-controlled. The word drone is also associated with the kind that kill people. Due to the negative connotations surrounding drones, we're going to refer to them as UAVs or UASs, the terms also preferred by the FAA. As UAVs take over the skies, people worry about their privacy and their safety. Today we're going to explore what the real problems are, what's being done to limit them, and why trying to ground them altogether just isn't going to fly. When the subject of UAVs is brought up, many people instantly worry about their privacy, claiming that they can be used to spy on them. Realistically, these fears are unfounded. The noise alone is enough to give away their presence, makes recording conversations impossible, and their instability makes any long-distance recording impractical. In fact, cameras such as the Nikon Coolpix P900 have incredible zoom ranges, like shown in this recording, and cost half as much as the popular DJI Phantom. Anyone seriously interested in invading someone's privacy would choose professional video equipment over a UAS any day. The more pressing issue is that of safety. For years, the skies have been dominated by aircraft pilots. But one major problem with the rise of UAVs is that this is now shared airspace, but the newcomers don't play by the rules.
That's by far my biggest concern as an operator and as a pilot. The guy who can just go grab a drone and go fly in a drone and doesn't know that they're not supposed to go over 400 feet. I have pilots already reporting to me that they're up at 1,500 feet, and you get a sizable drone, that's going to kill someone. That will take out an airplane and put an airplane into the ground.
So what's being done about this? Effective December 21st, owners of a UAS system weighing more than about half a pound must register their craft with the FAA. The process is simple, costs only $5, and gives you a number to affix to all your aircraft. In doing so, you are also presented with all the flight rules. Stay under 400 feet above ground level, maintain line of sight, do not fly recklessly, near stadiums or people, or within 5 miles of an airport. After registering, you have the option of printing a convenient certificate with your registration number and these rules.
It's really hard to follow rules if you don't know what the rules are, or that the rules apply to you. And so registration gives operators the opportunity to learn the airspace rules before they fly and enjoy their devices safely.
It's worth noting that these rules apply only to private use aircraft. Commercial use UAVs, such as the famous Amazon Prime Air delivery system, do not fall under the registration requirement. The future of commercial systems is a bit of a gray area and remains to be seen, but currently, special clearance is required from the FAA and usually requires the operator to have a pilot's license. But ultimately, the most important thing is to make sure people know the rules. The sheer quantity and availability makes the grounding of UAVs not an option. But when they start interfering with manned airplanes or firefighting operations, or even helping move drugs, there has to be a set of rules, and there has to be accountability. Registration is, for now, the answer to these necessities. Its success will be determined by the general public being aware of the requirement and taking the rules seriously. So what can you do? In the first 48 hours of availability, over 45,000 people registered to fly. With the estimated number of UAVs in the millions, and only getting higher as time goes on, we need more people to register, and we need them to know the rules before they fly. If you own a UAS over half a pound, then you need to register by going to registermyuas.faa.gov. If you have a friend that flies, or you purchase one for someone else, encourage them to register too. But most important is changing how we look at them. A UAS is a tool and a great source of entertainment, but if we continue to be afraid of them, we will do nothing in moving forward as a society. Unmanned aircraft are the future of the skies. So go out and drop $20, $50, $100 on an unmanned aircraft and join the hobby. But remember, fly safe.
Hard to believe, but the overwhelming majority of things in your life are somehow affected by aerospace, and that majority will grow in the coming years.
Everything from secure transactions to TV and radio are dependent on the network of satellites in orbit, constantly overhead in communication with these devices. Without them, they'd simply fail.
Amazon is looking into using UAVs to deliver packages within a local area. UAVs also play a part in something dear to both of us: filmmaking.
Getting the aerial perspective without paying thousands for a helicopter has helped many aspiring directors and filmmakers add a spectacular element to their films.
UAVs also play a big part in agriculture. Aviation has shrunk our world, making any destination in the world reachable in less than a day, and that goes for cargo as well. Travel time for mail, packages, and anything shipped can reach its destination in as little as one night.
This saves time on critical medical shipments and other time-sensitive packages, as well as online purchases. Thanks, Amazon.
All of these things combine to allow our 21st century society to function at an unprecedented efficiency. Aerospace is an integral part of our life. We can't allow it to suffer from lack of staffing, lack of funding, or lack of interest. Get interested, get educated, and you can help keep aerospace from being grounded.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come on and fly with me, let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's float down to Peru. In Llama Land, there's a one-man band, and he'll toot his flute for you. Come on, fly with me, let's take off in the blue. Once I get you up there, where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near. You may hear all the angels cheer because we're together. Weather-wise, it's such a lovely day. Just say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Acapulco Bay. It is perfect for a flying honeymoon. They say, come fly with me, let's fly away. Pack a small bag